first job he gets to do is tie the boat up.
Lots of you have been asking how I'm going to cope with locks on my own. Well, this is the first task, stopping. There are always rings or mooring pins near a lock. The lock's just the other side of the bridge. Moored up using the centre rope. The centre rope is really important when you're doing a boat on your own. It's the way you can control the boat. So I'm just going to tie this up and grab a windlass and we'll go and check and see whether the lock is ready for us. It's really important when you're on your own that you've got one of these, a life jacket. This has got a water sensitive cartridge, gas cartridge, and if I ever fall in, and I'm hoping I manage to make it to gym without doing that, this will inflate and keep my head above the water. Getting out of the water then is a completely different matter. This isn't a good sign. The water coming out means that the lock's full, so we're going to have to empty it first. So I was right, as you can see the lock's full of water. I know that because the boat was just ahead of us. So I need to use the windlass and wind this. That opens a gate, a paddle in the bottom of the gate. And now if you look down, there's lots of water coming out of the lock. There's one on each side. Actually on this lock, there's a nice little bridge, so it's dead easy. Wasn't here, and I have to go all the way around the end of the lock. Now the next thing to do is just to make sure that the boat is okay. So we'll look back to where the boat is over there. Yep. The mooring rope's holding, so that's okay. So now we just need to wait for the lock to empty. This is a nifty little beastie I bought from DaveOnAnon.com. It's a windlass holder. Because in a minute you're going to see I'm going to need both hands free. So that's staying there for now so that I don't put it down and lose it or drop it into the water. If that happens, I then have to get a really strong magnet and go fishing. Apparently it's amazing what you can find at the bottom of the canal. So have a look around. See, the land here is fairly flat. You don't tend to get canals going through really big hilly places, because it's very, very hard to do that. The cottage on the left over here was almost certainly the lock keeper's cottage in the days when this canal was really busy. Now this canal is a narrow canal. That means it's between 6'10" and 7 foot wide, and you can only get one boat in at a time. A little bit further along the route, oh, that was a Land Rover going past. A little bit further along the route, the locks will be twice the width. That makes it, in one sense, easier to do on your own because you only have to open one of these gates at a time. But in another sense, it's harder because the boat's less controlled whilst it's in the lock. So, looking down, the levels are pretty similar. So, time to put you back into it, Gardner, and open the lock gate. Now these gates are beautifully balanced, so they don't take much opening at all. And then we always have to remember to do is to close the paddles. So take the ratchet off and lower it down. Because otherwise, when I try to fill the lock up, all of the water will end up draining out the bottom of the lock. So, the level of water in the lock is now at the lower level of the canal. So, my cameraman is going to stay here. I'm going to head back to the boat and drive it into the lock.